Hi and welcome back to Kingsfield 4 gameplay. In this video we're going to visit the Minor Cemetery and we'll venture into the Palace Cellars. So in the last video we completed the mines and collected 2 soul stones. The first, which we traded for a crystal that enabled us to learn our fire spell, and the second one we're going to go and trade for the vial from the NPC upstairs in the palace that we saw in the last video. Now I have noticed that each NPC or each character in the game has different names depending on what region of game you are playing. So the NPC that we're going to talk to upstairs, in my version or in the PAL version, his name is Ben Kerr, but in the NTSC version his name is Chad Breshers. So depending on what region you're playing in, the names might be slightly different, just in case you get confused. So Chad Breshers, or Ben Kerr, is a successful thief. You encounter him frequently in your travels. Early on, you trade him a rock of life for a crystal vial. Later, you can buy and sell items with him. He carries a lot of unusual items and we can usually count on decent prices. I'll exchange my vial for a soul stone. Have you found a soul stone? And I'm just going to take it out of my inventory. So this is what a soul stone looks like. So starting off in the video today, I did have some technical difficulties which resulted in the loss of a very small segment of footage. So I will go to the locations and show where I picked up the helmet and the armor that I found, just so you're not missing out on any locations. I'll just have to be more careful not to delete things by accident the next time. So you'll see a little fade away, but I'm just outside and heading back towards the village ruins. The character that we met in the village ruins, the crestfallen soldier, so in the PAL version of the game his name is Mathew Casey, and in the USA version it's Cecil Yela, or Yela I think. I always like to go back and see if they have any further dialogue, so I might revisit NPCs. Sometimes they have some new dialogue for us and sometimes they don't. I like to try and get as much information in a game that I'm playing as possible. Due to the king's obsession with his favourite statuette, our land is cursed and in ruins. My comrades left ages ago. I wonder what's keeping them. Say hello to my comrades if you see them before I do. So another character that in the sign outside it said Shop Ben Mason. We're going to visit the shop now. In the USA version his name is David Bunch. So just in case you do have a look at the Prima strategy guide that I'll put the link in the description. If you do get confused by different names being mentioned in the video, they are different across regions. So in the lost footage there was just a very short conversation where he said, I just sold my last map to an old man. The old man left through a hole in the back of the shop. And I think I'll just grab a few herbs before I head through. So I smashed open these 2 barrels. I don't think there's anything in them. And in the next room I found a herb in 1 barrel, and then inside that ring of barrels is where I found my steel helmet in a chest. Just in there. Okay, let's move on. And now that we've completed the mine, I don't think we're going to see the slime too much in this video. The main enemies we'll be coming up against in this video are skeletons. So with the skeletons, there are 4 varieties. There's unarmed, armed with sword and round shield, armed with sword and square shield, and armed with an axe. There are also skeleton archers, which there are 2 types of, and the only difference is that one type can punch up close and the other one can't, I think. I dislike the skeleton archers the most because I find them hard to dodge and they're very annoying. So the last part of the missed footage, there is a man-eater out here, and in here I found my armour at the back behind some barrels. Just, where is it? Down there. And I'll just show you in my inventory what they are. We see the breastplate or the armour skin, and there's the steel helmet there. So that's all that we missed. End of technical difficulties. Let's move on. So just as we're coming up towards the church now, we're going to see the NPC that we saw initially on the other side of that ruined bridge in the last video, who mentioned that his wife was waiting for him on the other side. So in the PAL game, his name is Mitchell, and if you're playing on a USA or an NTSC version, his name is Duran Pathwarden. And so with the Reaper, I'm staying pretty close because I really don't want him to be able to do that root ripple. If you stay too far away, he just keeps hitting you with that and you take a lot of damage. It's very irritating. And in here, we'll see Mitchell again. I must pass these creatures to get back to my family. Is there any way you can help me get past these creatures? And here in the graveyard we see our first skeleton, and obviously depending on where you walk you trigger more to come out of the ground, just like that. These are the unarmed skeletons. They're not particularly difficult, but they are in a few numbers, which I'll probably take some hits, but hopefully not too many. There's one. And with these gravestones, you kind of get stuck on them as you're trying to back up and evade. So I think I'm going to try and stick towards the outside of the graveyard along the edges where there's less tombstones. It might be a good idea. Less chance of getting trapped. And the first time I played this game and I met Mitchell, and then he was obviously at the bridge saying that he needed to get back to his wife, I assumed that he meant the woman up at the miners' commons, the sick woman. But we saw in the last video that it's probably more likely that her husband was the miner that we saw get squished in that fallen tunnel, the one who had found the soul stone, which is quite sad. So he was successful, he found the soul stone to heal his wife, but lost his life in the process. And that must mean then that Mitchell's wife is in the graveyard. So it's not the kindest place, the land of disaster, but I suppose that's in the name. Now I'm just going to walk through the graveyard again and see if there's any more skeletons. Okay, so we're going to head through this gate. I'll give one last look around, make sure I haven't missed anything. Because if you haven't triggered all of the skeletons to come up and dispatch them all, that won't trigger the next thing to happen in the church, so I'm just going to give a quick little walk around. Don't see any, so I'm going to head through the gate now. Town. So we are on the other side of that bridge that's out, and I'm going to smash open this chest so I can get my morning star, or spike ball, whichever you prefer. And this will be more effective against the skeletons because it's more of a blunt weapon. With swords, when we go down towards the palace cellar, the sword isn't as effective, so it's good that we came and got this one first. And here's another skeleton. And you see already that that's pretty effective in comparison to the sword. Just up here to the left of the church, we can pick up another herb. And I can see Mitchell is still sitting there. So I definitely have missed one or two outside. So I'm going to head back out and see where they're hiding. Now that hit didn't take him out because I didn't let my stamina bar build back up after I was sprinting. So I think it's a good idea if I try not to sprint directly into any confrontations. Later on, it might make it more difficult. And we can see what's happened to poor Mitchell. So we have a key. And that's another story that hasn't ended well in the land of disaster. And we'll just stick close to this Reaper. But he doesn't seem too fussed on fighting back, so I almost feel bad. I really thought he was going to hit me with those branches, but... And we got some timber clogs. I was kind of hoping for a new shield, because they do drop forest shields, or magical shields, so like, some of the item names in the game, I think they differ also between regions. But I'll have to look into that a bit more before I can tell you definitively if that part's true. When we come back down here, we're going to unlock the door with the key that we just got off per Mitchell. And inside we'll find the map that the shopkeeper sold to him. There it is. And over in the corner on the right we'll find a herbal remedy. And now we can head back through the shop. I'm going to, when I go inside, I will be just kind of offloading equipment that I don't want anymore. So my timber club, those timber clogs, anything that you don't want to carry around with you, get rid of once we get back into the shop. And I'll probably stock up on some herb as well before we go through the next part of the game, because we will encounter some archers and you will see me fail quite miserably at trying to dodge those arrows. Found anything of interest? Okay, so I've sold off the stuff I don't want and I have stocked up on some herbs, so I'm going to head over back towards the palace patio now. And so you see that well that's just in front of the door there, that's all dried up. When we deal with some stuff downstairs in the cellar, hopefully we'll be able to replenish the well and use our vial. Okay, so before we head in, I'm just going to equip the Bangle of Clarity that we found from the Reaper in the house behind the Miner's Common. And I'm doing that so that we can cast our fire spell more than once. You don't want to get stuck downstairs in front of a series of spider webs wondering why you can't cast any more magic. So it's handy to do that before we head down. And I've also used a fungus or a mushroom just to increase that magic bar around our health bar. We'll come in here and deal with this spider. They are actually quite easy to deal with, I'm just not paying attention. And it's better if you have like a quick approach and attack to them and not give them a chance to poison you, as I let him do here. So I'll do better with the ones downstairs. Cast fire at the spider web, we'll burn it away and we'll be able to proceed down the stairs. I'll pick up this remedy. And that was much easier than the one upstairs. Now there's a few more up ahead and one will drop from the ceiling, but they're quite easy to take out. As long as you don't let them bite you, you'll be fine. And so I'll just read a bit about the spiders as we take care of these last few. Spiders inject deadly poison when they strike. They also jump a great distance when they attack. Back away when they jump and then move in and crush them when they land. Use any weapon, they're not tough. You can also run in before they get the chance to leap. That works too. So here on the right we'll see our save room, or a save statue, which we'll see a lot less of in this video. I made an effort not to save every 3 seconds this time, so... So we see this door is locked, and we are missing a key, or a keystone. We'll have a look at that there. I just want to make sure I'm interacting with it properly before I head further on up the corridor onto our next NPC. I was nearly killed. That creature was huge. Go have a look. And he gives us the key. It's in the entrance just over there. Be careful. I barely made it here. I can't move anymore. My friend was killed, but now I'm sure he's transformed into a creature. He was a good man. I've deserted my friends and failed my country. It's impossible for me to return. I feel like dying. Okay. So let there be no confusion. We have not encountered any happy stories in the land of disaster yet. I'd like to say that he'd make it out fine, except that's not true. So what happens is, if you approach him before you examine the door, you go back to talk to him again and he's already transformed, and you'll have to kill him in order to get the key. So I mean, you can visit him first and kind of just pretend that he's fine afterwards. You don't have to go back into the room to fight him. I'm going to proceed down the stairs, and I'm going into this room. After I take out the skeleton, there is a shield, a metal shield just up there. And as we go into this alcove, we'll see that skeleton there. And he seems pretty disorientated. He's not even doing much except walk around in circles. And in this alcove we'll find another herbal remedy. And so you can choose to fight the mushrooms if you want. You'll see there's within that ring of them there, and just over there there's a fungus. I'm going to avoid them for now. Just make sure you don't get stuck on that cloud, and then you can go up the stairs. But no, I ran right into it anyway, despite wanting to avoid them. And just to our right, we'll see another herb. And there is, oh, my game glitched. Just as well, because I ran right into that confrontation without letting my stamina bar build up, so that attack did nothing. And just try and keep an eye on where the other ones are at, trying to draw them up kind of one by one. If there was only one thing that I could change about this game, it would definitely be the camera. I mean, everything else is pretty cool, it's pretty fine. It just takes so long to turn the camera around when you're fighting. It makes it a little bit more challenging. This is a release stone that we're going to pick up. Now when we open this gate, I'll just show you, this actually leads back into the room behind the shop, which is just through there on your left. Or no, on your right, never mind. So we don't want to go back through that way. Down this way, I'll just show you that there is a jump down, but there is a skeleton archer just across the way on like a shelf. So we are going to go down and get him another way, but there's no way to get him from that room, so unless you were to shoot the fire spells at him, maybe, but it's much handier if we go back the way we came and back up that big set of stairs. Just jump down and run through here. Okay, so at the top of the stairs, we're going to veer right, and we'll go into this room that we see coming up on the left. We see our first skeleton archer. I'm going to try and, oh, no, I pressed the wrong button. I did not evade that at all. Trying to dodge, but that's too slow. So as you pick up this herb, two skeletons are going to come out of the ground. am just not moving quickly enough today. So I suppose it's a good thing I stocked up on all of that extra herb, because undoubtedly I will be using most, if not all of them. When we exit the room, we're going to turn left and we'll see our second skeleton archer that we encounter in here. I'm going to try and hide behind this pillar. Let him fire. Ooh. Try to run up on him. No. Just not fast enough. So there is a skeleton in this cell on the left. And I'm just going to strike him through the bars. Make it a bit easier for myself. So let's turn around, and the cell across from us has a hole in the floor that will drop us down onto that shelf that we saw that archer from. Just want to make sure that I'm landing on the shelf. You can see him down there. I can't go sideways. I was hoping to land facing him, but just have to jump down. There we go. And before you hop down off the shelf, there is a chest over in the corner. And we have steel boots. We see that some of our enemies have respawned. So I know I spoke at length in the last video, kind of just about the background of the Land of Disaster, the Forest Folk, and our characters a little bit, but there's not much more detail that I can share with you in this video as to the background of the story. It's pretty, like, the details are pretty vague. I think it's the kind of story that we hope unfolds as we play a little bit more. So I know one of my other favourite games is Dragon Age Origins, and I've kind of been spoiled with those other kind of franchises, that there's books that you can read, you know, there's just a plethora of information and lore. So when I enjoy something, I do like to try and learn everything about it. And this is where I realised that that's leading back into the shop, isn't it? Yes, it is. I don't want to be in here. I need to go back the other way. Yep, that's back in the shop. Okay, so we're going to make our way past the mushrooms again. So we'll need to cross the walkway here on our right to cross over to the other side. The path is broken on the other side of the room, so that's why we had to go around the long way. We are greeted by another skeleton. I shall call him Stabby. As we come in here, we can see there's another skeleton, and just in front of us, deal with him. And there's a door to the right that we're going to go through. Stuck kind of against a wall here. Try to run past them and get some space. Just trying to get them to attack me at the same time. There we are. Make sure there's nothing in here. Just want to make sure that there's nothing that I'm going to miss out on. Okay, let's go talk to our new NPC. Okay, so this NPC's name is called Jammar, or if you're playing in the US, it's Mista Fopa or Mr. Fopa. I'm not too sure. I'm visiting the graves, but have you happened to find a key around here? The roamers are lurking, so be careful if you want to go on. Take care. So I'm going to pop our release stone in here. And it's at this point that I realize that I forgot to pick up the second one. And make sure I don't have it, because no, it's not in here. Okay, So I'm going to head back and pick it up, but I'll make it shorter for you guys. We'll do a fade away. Okay, so do you remember that room we went into where we dropped down to that shelf with the skeleton archer? There is a skeleton on the ground just below the shelf that I ran right over and totally forgot to pick up the other release stone from. So I'll have a look around for him. There he is. Okay, let's head back to the door. And we're back. That was magic. Okay, we'll pop that key in. And as we come into this room, we're going to face a large number of skeletons. And I'm stuck on the door behind me, so I better back up a little bit. So that was quite close. I wanted to see if my fire spell was any use, but it doesn't seem any more effective at the minute, so then the further we step into the room, the more skeletons appear. Just when you thought you were getting somewhere, try to run towards the edge of the room. Although I don't have a lot of space now, so that may not have been the best idea. Just have to see how this goes. And the only strategy is to try to pick them off one by one from the edge of the group rather than running in the center. And after that initial entry into the room, they kind of seem to become less dangerous. They're kind of just spinning around in circles now. It makes them a lot easier to pick off. They definitely seemed a lot more focused on killing me when I first came in. So I have tried other From Software games, like the Dark Souls series and Bloodborne. I enjoy them. I also enjoy having lower blood pressure in the evenings, so it's not the kind of game that I would sit down and relax to for sure. I do enjoy them. They're very cool, very wonderful games. There is one series of From Software games that I haven't tried yet, and that's Shadow Tower and Shadow Tower Abyss. So they're kind of, I think, from 98, around that kind of time. And they're very much like Kingsfield, from what I hear. It has an element of horror to it as well. Now, I don't think that we got Shadow Tower released over here. So the only copies I can find online are from America. And I don't use emulators, so I should probably try looking at those at some point. Okay, so we saw that there was another door at the end of that room, and we will require another key. So I'm going to head back outside and talk to our friend Kyle Jammar again and see if he has a key for us, perhaps. Because we definitely don't have one, and I haven't forgotten anything else. Oh, sure, the entrance inside was locked too. This is the key. When you get old, you tend to forget a lot of things. What? Okay, so let's pop in our release stone and unlock this door. And try that again. If you're not looking at it just right, it won't do anything, so I better get in front of it properly. There we are. Here lies the great healer. So we're going to go to the left here, where we saw that spider earlier. We'll deal with him once he jumps down. And then there's this hole in the wall that is full of spider web, but there's also a crystal caught in the middle of the web, so we're going to burn away the web and that crystal will fall back down there. Just like that, and when we return to kind of the entrance of the palace cellar where our save statue was, we will find that just outside there. I'm just trying not to fall over the edge. And there is that crystal that fell out of that web, so we're going to pick that up. That's our light crystal. We'll open that up and that will unlock a new spell for us, or a new magic. Magical light. A magical glow used to lighten an area of darkness. Okay, so let's head back in here and give it a quick save before we do the next fight. And when we unlock this room, we're going to face the giant spider. So this huge creature stands on the ceiling of its lair, striking with webs to slow you down and blind you from long range, and hitting with its massive front legs if you stray too close. It has good defenses against spells, but you can still use magic to kill it. Fireball works best. And when we do come in here, I'm going to try and just run towards the edge of the room, because that claw attack does a massive amount of damage. I think it's 1 or 2 hits and you're dead. She missed us with that web, so we'll come around here, try to get towards the back of her and use our fireball. Just making sure she's not facing me, and then rinse, repeat, try and make it around the room. She's fairly fast and her webs are slowing us down, so I should definitely heal myself. I thought that that would be the last one, so maybe one more. Oh, maybe 2 more. And there we go. You see that she drops a crystal. So we're going to place that healing statue that we found inside the mass grave. I'm going to pop that in here. Make sure it doesn't do anything else. No. And that doesn't do anything here, so I think we need to head back upstairs outside onto the patio to put that into the dried well outside. And we can see that it has been replenished. And we can use our vial that we received from Ben Kerr. And there we see, vial replenished. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.